is Oscar Nkweng. I was born and raised here in Tembisa by my parents, Opa and Francina, whom they met in the late 80s, and I was born in the early 90s. So yeah, Tembisa is my home, so that's basically who I am. So one Sunday morning, my mom was going to church. So because she had just moved in the township, she didn't know the place very well. So as she was going to church, she was lost and suddenly came across this guy who happened to be my father, and he was just astonished by this beautiful young woman. And he then, my mother then asked where she can get the church, and my father actually happened to know where the church was. Then he accompanied her to the church and until to the gate, and that's how they basically met. Yeah, their relationship together, my father, a very romantic person, so during those times my father would used to take my mother out to the park. They used to go to the park. They loved the park, and it's like whenever they had to meet, those are areas where they used to go, and we looked up to that. Like, I loved how my father would treat my mother and so forth. So their love was basically something it was an inspiration. Even to this day, still inspires me. Growing up in the struggle, well, my father used to tell us the stories. It was very difficult. They were growing up under very difficult circumstances because whenever they had to leave home going elsewhere, you can't just leave. You needed to have a reason why you are leaving. For example, because they grew up in Tembisa, when they go to Captain Park, which is at that time it was a white-dominated area, you needed to have things like dompas and the likes. So if you are found there without a reason, that's an arrest. So those are some of the conditions that they lived in. So it wasn't really easy. It wasn't a nice time to grow up in. But yeah, they survived. They survived. The story that I think I would forever cherish is the proposal story. How my father proposed to my mother. I think it was very romantic. I think my father was just a romantic guy, so yeah, the way he proposed to my mother. Actually, they proposed that he proposed at the park. That's where he proposed, and bought some things there. It was sort of a picnic nyana, and he proposed, and it went well, and my mother was happy, excited about it. The passing of my mother was a very difficult season because my mom was sick, so my father had to take care of my mom. And my father taking care of my mom, it means that as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, he couldn't then focus more on the business side of things, which things started just to decline in terms of the income and so forth. So it was a very difficult season because it took a lot of my father's time. So my father had to really compromise on a lot of things and just to take care of my mom, because at that time my mom had no one to look after, so my father had to be the one who had to take care of everything. So that's how it affected us. The two things that stands out for me that I would say I've learned from my parents, number one is love. Love is everything. Love conquers all. Love is patient. Love is kind. Those are things I've learned from my father, and yes, from my mother as well.
Scene 1, shot. No, it's in one shot. It's 2 shot too.
Yeah, but I think you should